Hello, gentle viewers. This is Guardian, welcoming you back to Out of the Park Baseball 26 with the Colorado Rockies. Yay! Maybe yay isn't the right word given how bad we were last year, but we definitely need some additional gas in the tank. But for right now, anyways, we have some decisions to make. So, we did score lots of runs. Our problem was our pitching was particularly awful. Which I think has been kind of a running theme now for the past several seasons because we're in Colorado. That's just a thing that happens. So, Bryant Meelam actually had a really nice rookie campaign. He played more than I wanted him to, but he still did play quite effectively. So, that's pretty exciting to see. But yeah, we need help at pitching, and we need it badly. We'll just leave it at that. Let's begin. You want a better third baseman? I agree. I definitely agree. Yes. Let's take a look. We'll do coaches first. I was like starting with coaches because it doesn't usually take that long. We need a new pitching coach. We could genuinely just promote Glendon Rush. The problem is he doesn't get along that well with my pitchers, which is kind of an odd look, given that he is meant to be a pitching coach. You have average relationship. What are we looking for in terms of personality here? We want somebody ideal that's easygoing would be great, but I'm not going to go to that level. If we just found a really good pitching coach, then that's what we're going to do. Hmm. So the thing is that Glendon Rush is obviously an excellent pitching coach, but his relationships aren't that great, especially with somebody like Sandy Ozuna, who we're expecting to develop if we can make that happen. That makes it a little less interesting. We could use Mr. Gnurk here. I think Mr. Gnurk is okay. I know it's not exceptional, but he gets along well with most of my pitchers and really well with some, and I think that's probably fine. So he is also normal, and he doesn't like people that are temperamental. I don't think we have anyone that's temperamental, so I think this is fine. I think it's basically a net neutral in terms of like how he gets along with his staff. But I always like promoting from within. That always makes me feel like I've done something smart. Alan Gallagher, you definitely get promoted to being the new AA pitching coach. And then, sorry, one moment. Always when I'm about to share a thought, I have to sneeze. Every time. It's a little annoying. Christopher Starr is actually pretty awesome, but he's also 61, which means even if I promote him, there's a good chance he doesn't make it up that much farther. Mr. Deduno here is an excellent manager. Mr. Deduno, I'm going to promote you to manager of A-ball. I think that's a sensible move. Oh, you don't want to be a manager. Why not? That's actually kind of annoying because he's actually far better suited to be a manager than he is anything else. Timolshevsky, you can be promoted. That's fine. That's so interesting that he doesn't want to be a manager. Because he actually would be really good at being a manager. Or even a bench coach. He's actually not that good at pitching coach. You're probably going to want to replace him. So then who does become the new A-ball manager? Matt Yorkin is pretty amazing at his job. I think he would be a tremendous asset for us. He's also super young, which means there's a good chance that he will make the league into something special. Let's get a new pitching coach. I mean, I would love to get Mike Frank actually to be a manager. if that was a thing I could do. I can ask, and then maybe he'll tell me no. Maybe he'll be like, fuck yeah, that's all I want. I'm gonna go ahead and take. I'm gonna ask for Francisco Andrade. He's super young, which is a pretty nice thing. It means he'll get plenty of chances to develop. Speaking of development, let's get our development thing set up here. Mr. John Begin, I need him to start pitching in the majors soon. Let's work on that control, my friend. Josh McGill, you're a doomed prospect if you don't improve your control. Mario Acevedo, let's get you to work on your control. It's the control episode, guys. Joel Fernandez, control. Will Levy. Or Levi, either way. He really needs everything, is what he needs. I think letting good old Dirty Craig here pitch in AAA is probably what he needs. He's still old. He's still very young for the league, so we should temper our expectations. But I think he also needs to work on control. Sorry, guys. I really hoped that I could find a new position for him, but alas. So Colin Ritchie is very fascinating to me because he's kind of a third baseman. He's not really a second baseman because of his arm. Let's have you work on something hitting related. Gap power, I think, feels reasonable. Let's do that. Ty Head has himself a very bright potential future. What if you also worked on your gap power? And then between these two 18-year-olds, I think Jim Pizzulo is slightly more advanced. You can work on your control. I didn't look at the Major League roster. But honestly, only Colin Ritchie really needs the work, so that's fine. If Cam Canarella somehow doesn't win Rookie of the Year, I will ever so slightly riot. Just a quiet riot, if you will. I think Brenton Doyle needs to go. Like, I know he is an outstanding center fielder, and I get that. But we're a much better team if I have more options. And letting Cam Canarella play center opens up the corners beautifully. Although Doyle is still really good at playing center field, and we only have him for one more year anyway. So there is a possibility that we may try to trade him potentially. Although he does have 10-5 rights, doesn't he? No, because I think it's 10 years of Major League Service time. It's not just 10 years of professional time. So I think we can trade him whenever we want. So I think Brenton Doyle is probably the number one trade candidate this offseason. Or this coming season. I'm not going to mess with the minors right now. I'm going to wait until later on. But let's talk about arbitration. All right. Chase Dollander wants $4 million. At no point in your career have you ever been worth $4 million. I'm going to guess you were kind of close last year. I don't think you're worth it. I don't think $4 million is an appropriate amount for you, especially when you can't even... Oh, that's right. We did offer Brenton Doyle an extension because he was willing to take a pay cut. I remember that now. Yeah, I did give him an extension. I'm fine with it if he takes it. I still think as just a defender only, he's still worth it. Alright, Chase Dollander, you're being non-tendered. I'm going to try to trade you first. But I have a feeling nobody's going to particularly want basically a busted starter, but it's possible. Okay, it's not possible. That's fine. I think Edgar Yesaya, we definitely keep. I don't know how this guy keeps performing the way that he does. Like, his ratings suggest he should be terrible. but he just keeps outperforming his ratings, and that means he is a proven producer and somebody worthy of a new contract. I can't help but notice Anthony Molina wants another $5 million. That's not going to happen, dude. You were an outstanding relief pitcher. I'm not saying that you weren't pretty incredible, but I'm also saying that I think last year was a mirage and that it's highly unlikely that you will produce that again. At least in my opinion. So we're going to go non-tender you, and if somebody is silly enough to offer us an out, then I'll take it. Jaden Hill went from essential piece of the bullpen to just fine. I think we can let him walk as well. Charlie Condon, I think he gets his long-term contract now. We've now had 3 years with him, and 2 of them have been incredible. Actually, we've had 4 years. I mean, for regulating the league in total basis, I don't see how I could ask for anything more. What does a long-term contract look like for you now? Oh, Jesus Christ, you want $12 million for 1 year? Oh, this is gonna hurt. This is totally gonna hurt. Can I have a little bit of protection at the end there? Can I have a couple of team options? Does that work for you? Alright, we'll do it. I mean, I probably could have saved money by doing it last season, but I wanted to make sure he could repeat his performance, which he did. Cole Carrick is such an interesting player for me. His incredible flexibility makes him extremely valuable to me, but if he's ever starting a large proportion of games, we've done something horribly wrong. I think for $3 million, I'm happy to pay that, but when he hits free agency, we'll probably let him go. But he's very efficient. Nelson Rada. For 2 years in a row, you were the engine of this offense, and then you just melted. This causes me significant consternation. Do I have high-level outfielders waiting for more opportunities? Not really. Not really. Yeah, I just don't have a ton of really high-level outfielders that are waiting for more opportunities. That doesn't mean we might not find some, but it is an argument to keep him around. I wish we had a much better on-base guy to be the leadoff guy. Like, there's every possibility that Rada bounces back next year and we forget all about this season. He did get pretty good in some useful ways. Like, he's actually really good on the bases last year. And he is, a pretty decent outfielder, so... Is your problem that just, like, righties eat you alive, or... You're actually marginally better against your own players, which is kind of interesting. I feel like it's probably fine to bring him back for 1 more year. That's probably okay. And then we just let him try to figure out what he did wrong himself. I think. I'm not super happy about it, but I'm also not necessarily likely to find a better outfielder. So, yeah. We have a whole bunch of hitters that are basically the same skill level. We need some more differentiation. We need somebody that's got more blue in their stat line there. Alright, guys. Let's advance a little bit of time and see where we're at. Would I do this type of challenge again? Probably not. Although this has been really interesting, and I've especially enjoyed managing the minor leagues, it's extremely challenging to get over the hump. To get over the playoff hump if you can't have free agents. Um, like meaningful major league free agents makes it really hard to get over that last step. And while there's nothing wrong with that, like if you want the extra challenge, I do think it makes the videos a little bit less interesting because, yeah, because because of things and nonsense. Yeah. So I don't regret having done it, but I do think it's something that once we win our World Series, I'll probably do something different. I don't think this is going to be a long-term franchise. I don't think. I mean, I might change my mind, obviously, but all right. Doyle got his extension. It's fine. It gives us a really good defensive center fielder who has occasionally provided value with the bat. Maybe not always, but at least sometimes. He is a little bit overpaid, based purely on his offensive contributions, but he's not that far removed from actually being one of my better players. So I think it's a reasonable risk. I think Condon's is actually more likely to bite us in the butt, but I also don't see that I had a choice. The weakness, so to speak, of Condon is his game is mostly power. If that power ever trickles down, if it ever wears off a bit, he then becomes a liability. I feel reasonably sure that within the next 3 to 4 seasons, he's going to be worth his money. But once he hits past 30, I begin to become more concerned. I wish he had more value from his legs. That would help it out quite a bit, but at least he's a really good first baseman. We can also put him in left field if we want. Having that flexibility to put him in the outfield also gives us some more choices. So, let us now advance time a bit. I'm going to put myself on mute while I get my drink. In case you're curious, today's beverage is a zero sugar Gatorade fruit punch. Issei took a contract. We got 3 Gold Glovers: Condon, Cannarella, and Doyle. That's pretty exciting, actually. That's pretty sweet. Do we... is Andrade still considering our offer, or is Andrade... Yeah, it looks like he didn't like it. That's reasonable. I can't be mad about that. Let's grab Brian Wilson. R.I.P. to the lead singer of the Beach Boys. Have they really? What if I gave you 200 grand? What if that happened? Silver Sluggers. Charlie Condon, obviously. Okay. That seems pretty reasonable to me. I don't begrudge them not voting Cannarella. If Cannarella doesn't win Rookie of the Year, I will be genuinely shocked. Yeah, he did it. He was pretty incredible. Surprisingly large number of votes for PJ Morlando. I think this is because he had 33 home runs, and the AI always goes, ooh, home runs shiny. Cannarella was the better player, and it's not particularly close in any meaningful way. So, yeah. Fuck you, Seattle. Fuck them, fuck me. Either way. I'm the one who chose not to sign him because of the rules, so I can't get too cranky about that. Man, these guys just don't want my offers. They're just like, no. What about Jim Krisman? Maybe he will take a contract offer from me. Just rub it in, game. Just rub it in. What if I had anybody even rank in the top 10 of MVP voting? Oh, yeah, I guess we could have Feltner and. Oh! We gotta make some 40-man room. Goodbye, Vic Domingo, and goodbye, Luigi Casilla. Alright, how do we do MVP voting wise? Out of curiosity. It's chugging. There we go. Check the right league, dipshit. Condon got a fair few votes. He was on ballots. That's exciting. That's cool. Alright, what do we got free agency wise? First of all, we have. Pardon. We have $36 million. That's a lot of dollars. For sure. You want me to get a better third baseman. You want me to increase attendance. This is not realistic, and I really dislike that the game does this. There is very little you can do to increase attendance at a baseball game other than either dramatically cutting prices or winning lots of games. Only one of, I mean, I guess I can technically control both of those. I will cut ticket prices down to $29. A buck a seat. We'll see if that makes any kind of meaningful change. But I really dislike this owner goal. This is not something a GM is responsible for, especially when you can't like schedule promotions or anything. There's just not enough you can do. In my opinion. I mean, I guess you could just get like really fancy players, but you know. It is what it is. Let's talk to free agents. I see you, Hong Chong Chang. I refuse to pay a reliever that much money. I categorically refuse, so no thank you. Damian Pena, 100%. I offer that contract. No question. Let me turn on my filter. Manuel Pineda has some attraction for me. As a starter, let me be clear, as a starter, I think it would offer a reasonable upgrade over the current rotation. Because nobody like posted saying, "Oh my God, Abby, you fucking monster! You should stop signing the international amateur free agents." I'm just going to go and offer him a contract. I'm not giving him this long a contract. That would be catastrophically stupid. He doesn't want that team option. I think I'm okay with this. I may end up regretting this deal very quickly, but we'll see what happens. Rick Howery is pretty bad. There's not a lot there to get excited about. Redinson Gomez is more interesting to me. He's like a borderline starter under the right circumstances. And I think that's interesting enough to me that I'm willing to give him his contract offer. But this is really just a really disappointing free agent class in a lot of ways. There's like really good players like overall that I'm just missing. Boy, are you an interesting prospect. Maybe a junk baller who keeps the ball down actually has a little bit of value. This does concern me. He's only got 1+ pitch, which is a changeup. How much money are you wanting? I'm willing to give you an audition. For sure. Could you try to bring Bernie Martinez back? Wow, Mickey Bell in this universe never made the major leagues. That's pretty crazy, actually. I would give him an offer. Sure. Recognize that we offered a single major league free agent other than Pineda, so maybe that'll help us. I also want to look at Anthony Molina and see what kind of pricing he's demanding. What might have been if we could sign major league free agents. That's actually kind of a lame class, to be honest with you. Maybe I'm not so bummed out about it. Where is Molina? There you are. You think you're worth $12 million. Are you fucking drunk? You have clearly lost any sense of reality. I cannot imagine doing that. So this is what we're going to sign in free agency. I guess we can at least look at outfielders. I feel like getting some more outfield options would be pretty handy. Caden Connor, sadly, is dead to me because he has briefly played in the major leagues. Like a big fat loser. Gabriel Gonzalez doesn't fill me with joy. I mean, I guess it costs me nothing. But I also kind of make sure that there's spots in my minor league, so I think we just stick with this. And we just accept the fact that it's just a really shitty free agent class for us. And that's fine. Like, there's not a lot I can do about that. It's actually a bad free agent class, period. Whenever your top few players are relievers, that's never a good sign of a solid class, in my opinion. I've got a lot of like lunch pail type guys. They're really hard workers. I just need to get more star power. Yeah. If, okay, you do think you're a starter. Okay, let me look at your profile now as a starter. I will offer one more time. This is where it ends. If you want even more money from somebody, I'm going to have to say no. I just don't have that kind of money. It would cripple my flexibility to make the right choices in the future. So, Paul Goldschmidt deserves it. Nelson Cruz deserves it, although I recognize that's not likely to happen. I feel pretty strongly that Aaron Judge would make it. But it's not a guarantee. But I think he's got a pretty good chance, at least in our sim. I think the real life Aaron Judge has probably already carved himself a very strong path to Cooperstown because of how good his peak has been. But we'll see. I don't see how Shohei Ohtani only counts as 49 WAR. I'm wondering if they're not including his pitching contributions. Let's take a look. That's on looking at his hitting. If we look at his pitching stats too, that adds another 20. So yeah, he's more like a 70 win player. That's far more realistic to his actual capabilities. So I completely think he's got a solid goal path to Cooperstown, both in this game and in real life. Guys, voting Joey Votto, I want you to stop being racist against people that draw lots of walks. Giancarlo Stanton, I can vote for him, and I can vote for Adam Wainwright to finish it off. That seems reasonable. Cool. Now we're going to do the smart thing. We're going to come over to here, and we're going to say, hey, use my scouting director, please. Thank you. I will let Will Levy pitch in spring training. I think that's probably acceptable, but I think that's as far as it goes. I'm not going to give him a starting spot unless lots of things go very, very wrong. Conversely, I think John Begin has nothing left to learn in the minors, and letting him pitch in the majors will strengthen our team considerably. Yeah. We have good players. We especially have some decent position players. Like, don't sleep on Colin Ritchie. If Ritchie's even an average second baseman, I don't think he's got that in him. His unique power makes him such a devastatingly useful player. I could start him at third instead if I want. I bet nobody wants Ryan McMahon. That seems pretty unlikely to me. He won't even waive his no-trade clause, so I think we just suffer. But the lineup is in okay shape. It's not in flawless shape, but it's in okay shape. What I think we're really lacking is pitching. Guys, it is taking a tremendous amount of restraint on my part to not put Mario Acevedo in Double-A. But I think it is far, far better, given his extreme development risk, to let him repeat High A. I just think it's the right choice. Truly, truly, truly. Excuse me. I'm gonna quickly trade Jordan Yost. I can't trade him, can I? He's still hurt. That's right. Okay. All right. Once we have all of our free agent things sorted out, we will work on the minors. Oscar Vasquez wants a little bit more money. Okay, fine. I bet you probably want a major league contract, would be my guess. If I gave you $2 million, if you get promoted, how does that work for you? Okay. Pineda is somebody that people get excited about. That's pretty good. We did get Redinson Gomez. That's clearly a world championship right there. A lot of people are frustrated. That's kind of a bummer. Let's get the Rule 5 draft started. Edwin Brito's somebody I'd be really excited to grab if he fell to me. He might not, though. He does, I'm taking him. Immediately. He's just a really well-rounded outfielder with no obvious weaknesses, and that is something I find extremely useful. Um, could grab Alexander Albertus. I don't really need another infielder at the moment. Omar Gonzalez is very uninteresting to me at this point in his career. That doesn't really interest me. Hmm. So maybe my only Rule 5 pick. I'm not seeing anybody else here that really moves the needle for me. I mean, I guess I could sort by overall, actually. Brady Singer. Nope, you played for, Oh no, did I just commit an unpardonable error? Did I just acquire a guy who played in the major leagues at one point? No, we're safe. Phew. Okay. I agree to send the Rule 5 draft this one. I think that's it. I just think there's nothing else worth taking. I did lose Ariel DeHigo. I think that's probably somebody I maybe would have considered keeping, but I'm interested to see how he does. Because I think he did have some upside for me. I just don't have an obvious opening on the roster. Um, Unironically, he could have actually been a third baseman for me. Because I do need to replace Ryan McMahon at some point, but maybe that's just going to be Colin Ritchie. Yeah, he's clearly being offered major league contracts because notice this isn't changing. I would pay $1.8 million in a major league contract. Okay, once 2.8 million. Mm, that's it, I think. I think that's my limit for him. Fans are bummed we lost Anthony Molina. How much money did he end up making? He got $7 million. Wow. You know what? Big on him for cashing in, but I was never going to match that. That was just not going to happen. So, good on him, I guess. Guys, we did it. This was not a good contract. I'm just gonna flat out mention that immediately. This was not a good contract. If he turns out to be an ace level starter, this obviously looks like a better contract in the short term. But we're paying for a guy who's already technically either just ending his prime or is already past it. That said, he is so much better than every other pitcher on the roster. This is the kind of expensive mistake we have to make. We just don't have a choice. It is not something we're capable of choosing. So we just kind of accept it. Does anybody want RJ Shrek? Because I feel bad for like keeping him hostage. Is the word I'm looking for, I guess. Yeah, if I can get a reasonable prospect, I think I take the trade. Leonel Sequeira is exactly the kind of pitcher I want more of in my system. So I think we probably just take that. Can I get Sequeira and Fermin? That would make me pretty happy if I could get both of them. Is that a thing I could request? Nice. Yeah, I'm fine with this. Mr. Shrek, you have more than earned the label of former Rocky. That's a deal that I feel good about making. Jalen Forrest is going to release an album. Oh, good. Although a lot of times, like these athletes release albums and they suck really bad, but because they're famous, people still buy it anyway. All right, we got Omar Vasquez, Oscar Vasquez. I don't know why I called him Omar. Um, yeah, you're better than a lot of my existing starters, right? Like it's not even particularly close for some. Um, Ryan Feltner kind of sucks now, and he is dramatically overpaid. Hmm. Seems like I made a mistake there, doesn't it? Probably. Oscar Pujols is at least somewhat interesting to me. Maybe. Does anybody want Ryan Feltner? If I offered you up in trade, would somebody like, holy shit, it's Ryan Feltner? No. That's probably smart on their part. Let me waive Mogdiel Cotto. That seems like an okay thing. And then Vasquez gets a roster spot. If I win the World Series with these two guys, and you're like, holy shit, that's bullshit. I don't mind if you have to use like, you know, asterisks to make you feel better. Hmm. Nothing too surprising here. This makes me sad. I could see it happening in real life too. Like, just because so much of that is just from his ability to control the strike zone and take walks, and voters have not been great at recognizing people like that, which is why it took Tim Raines forever to get elected to the Hall of Fame. Um, it's just something that a lot of older voters, especially, just they don't rate enough, and I think that's a mistake. However you get on base doesn't matter. It's just do you get on base at a good clip is what makes you, generally speaking, a great player. Player development update. Anything crazy happening here? Nothing too wild. If David Martinez is already starting to work a little bit on his overall, it's probably close to promoting him time. Alex Rodarte has so much ridiculous potential, but he's obviously still extremely green because it still has this extreme development risk. We're going to let that percolate. I'm not going to call him up until he is completely ready. All right, guys, who needs to be invited to spring training? Um, Let me go back to ratings. Wait, Will Levy's potential just got better. He wasn't a 70 before, was he? Huh. Okay. Levy most definitely gets Begin gets some reps. Oh, Grady. You're still useful, you still have value, but your value is also quickly diminishing. That's just how it is. Isaiah Swain can get some reps. Well, I guess we can let Emerson and Hartshorn get reps. Mika Bell can have some reps. Dryling, that's all fine. Okay. Redinson Gomez, sure. All right. Let's make the thing happen. Let's simulate up to the end of February. Just do end of month, dipshit. Oh. Alright, some people got better. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Colin Ritchie has every chance to be... Oh, I never reset the rosters, did I? That was silly of me. Dalis categorically does not play over Ritchie at this point. I need to see what Ritchie can do. So Ritchie is most definitely starting at second base. There we go. Pitching, we're going to run 6-man rotation. Okay. I don't think I lost too many string training reps, but yeah, that was something foolish that I did. 5 weeks for Oscar Vasquez. The guy literally just showed up and he's already injured. It's not a great look, Oscar. Not a great look. I don't know, my nose always gets runny when I start recording. That's very frustrating. Very curious, very concerning. Well, Levy is getting better, you guys. It is awfully tempting to put him in the line, to put him in the rotation. Awfully, awfully tempting. I don't think I should do it. I think that would be very short-sighted for little positive gain. But I am tempted. I am extremely tempted. How long is Colin Ritchie hurt? He's going to be back in 5 days. That's fine. Lose Pablo Torres for 6 weeks. That's fine. It's not great, but it's not bad either. Like, of all the people that could get hurt, he doesn't bother me that much. Alright, let's get down to brass tacks. We presently have 21 pitchers. 8 of them gotta go. Alright, Dossett, you're going to the minor leagues. Begin, congratulations, you're on the major league roster. Can I demote Feltner? Is Feltner just going to tell me no? He's going to tell me no. Does anybody want Feltner? What if I ate his entire salary? Does that buy me a prospect, maybe? No. Maybe I just have to trust Feltner can actually still perform. Maybe I just have to trust him. But he's also aged not very well. Oh, he's lost a fair bit of velocity. Yeah, he has. We'll figure if there's other people we can get rid of instead. Quinn to the minors, Vergez to the minors. Bell to the minors, Albright to the minors. 3 more pitchers gotta go, noted. Gomez to the minors, Eaton to the minors. And I think Levy to the minors. I feel like, given that he's still at least a medium injury risk, I think letting him repeat AAA is more beneficial than rushing him to the majors. But I think his time in the minors is going to be quite short. So now we're down to 13 pitchers, which is the number of pitchers that I want to use. Oh, what is actually Dylan Dubovnik? That's fine. But that is something we need to keep in mind. That Dubovnik is both things. Donate 3 catchers. Jaden Fauski can go back to the minors. I think Kelvin Hidalgo's time has probably come and gone. I think there's that one window when he's a really useful member of the roster, but I think just at this point, he's second Cole Carrig, which is excessive when I already have one of those. Nobody wants him in trade. I should probably be able to get him through the waiver wire then, no problem. I honestly think Colin Ritchie is a new third baseman. I think it's at least very, very close that he's the new third baseman. Then Dalis can play second if he wants, or Leon can play second if he wants. Leon, I want you to play in AAA. Swain is not remotely ready for the major leagues, so he can repeat AAA. Emerson isn't really ready for the majors either. Outfield-wise, Dreiling is uninteresting. Hartshorn is uninteresting. Rosario is uninteresting. Beltre can go. Roddick can play center, so that reduces the likelihood that I think Quinn Irons is an important piece. So one more player has to go. I think Dolly's playing second and Richie playing third is probably the move. Which then makes Emil Morales kind of expendable, except for the fact that he does have major league experience. I wish we could get rid of Ryan McMahon. I truly wish that is a thing that could happen. What if I ate half his salary? Oh, it's you. It's you going, I don't want to waive my NTC. Her. I don't have enough money to cut him without seriously hurting my team. I just thought if you'd be a nice dude and take a demotion, you will not. I want Morales and I want Richie. They're a nice platoon, and then McMahon can ride the bench. Dali starts at second, I think is the right move there. Richie and Morales play third. Tovar plays short. And Condon is first base. I mean, I guess I have room for a DH also. Because Dubovnik can do both things, he can play the field and he can pitch. That significantly raises his utility to me, so that he's basically got a guaranteed spot. So then it comes down to, essentially, do we demote Nelson Rada? No, I don't think so. I think keeping Rada makes too much sense. It's either I return Brito, which I kind of don't want to do. I think Brito's got some decent upside to him. So it's either Matheson or Rada, and I think Matheson was really bad last year. Like, really, really bad. Does somebody else want to take him on? Is somebody else in the mood for Matheson? Maybe. Okay. I get Ryan Russell here. Ryan Russell's actually a really good relief pitcher. His control's not great, but that's okay. Let's do it. Give me Ryan Russell. Matheson, you're a former Rocky now. I could agree and ask for more. Is that something I'm interested in doing? Nolan Salza isn't terrible. Can I get Salza? You're still thinking about it? Yeah, I'll just make the deal. I don't feel the need to rush that one. So, alright. We're down to 26. Let's set up our club the way we want it set up. Alright. Pineda has already lost some of his overall skill. That's awesome. I'd love to see that. You know what? Alright. 5-man rotation. Miguel Pineda is very clearly the ace. Like, this is not a debate. He's the guy. After him, let me look at pitching ratings here real quick. It's probably Shin as my number 2 pitcher. No, it's Jarvis. Yeah, we'll say Jarvis, then Shin, then Gordillo, and then Osuna. This is our opening day rotation. I feel pretty good about that. Alright. Who are my big relievers? Who are the ones that I trust the most? I think Chivilli remains the most well-rounded of my relievers. And he's been a good closer in the past. Last year, it just looks like he just had a bit of a blip in walks, which is something he's actually supposed to be pretty good at. So I think Chivilli, for now, is still the closer. I think that doesn't change. I think Im is my reliever, is my setup guy. And I think Isaiah is the second setup guy. Dubovnik is 100% the long man. That can also get some middle relief in. Fellner is the emergency starter. If something happens, he's going to be the one to come in. So we have Begin, Pujols, and McKeon. But probably, I don't think Cooper McKeon can face righties at all. I think they eat his lunch. So I think we do that. I'm going to swap Dubovnik's roles between middle relief and long relief. Yeah. That's a more sensible bullpen to me. I really don't like McKeon. I think there's probably a very close future where McKeon is just gone from the team. Because, I mean, I guess he's not totally helpless against righties, but he is significantly worse in all aspects. So I guess he can have a secondary role of being a middle reliever, but I hope... No. McKeon's got to be lefty only. I think that's the only way that this works. Alright, let's set up the lineups and depth charts here. Nuke them all. Okay. I think Cam Cannarella's job is hitting leadoff. I think that's the role he was born to play. So with Cannarella hitting leadoff, that takes pressure off of Rada. I can move him around the lineup a bit. And then that's totally fine. We could also just let Rada lead off anyway and let Cannarella bat second, where his power might be a bit more valuable. Um, I think either one of these moves is reasonable. Either Rada batting leadoff and Canarella doing his thing. But I think we just do Canarella and then we figure out the rest of it here in a minute. The other thing I'm completely certain about is that Condon is going to hit cleanup. These two positions I knew when the season started. So the question is who hits third? Who hits second? Colin Ritchie is going to hit fifth. I think his bat is going to play very well there. Tovar's got to be close to the top of the lineup. Maybe he can be our number 3 hitter again. He's fairly good at it. Um, all right. It's going to be Rada than Canarella. Hitting 6 is going to be Drew Romo. I feel pretty good about that choice. Then Wilder Dalis. Then who DHs is a good question. Is it Emil Morales that's going to DH? Maybe. Maybe Richie DHs to start the season, and then that lets Emil Morales play third. All right, there goes Morales, and then last but certainly not least, Brenton Doyle is going to hit 9th. His offensive skills are just way too random to trust him from season to season, so I think having him in 9th until he hits his way higher is reasonable. All right. Backing up at catcher is going to be Bryant Milam. And I want Milam getting regular playing time. I don't want him starting every day, obviously. Drew Romo's still pretty young. But I think letting him start every 5 games is good. And Milam also becomes my number 1 pinch hitter and my backup DH. Can you play first? You could probably play first if I needed him to. Romo's shown himself to be a little bit fragile all of a sudden, so I think getting him more frequent breaks is going to make him a better player, but it also helps get Milam more experience before it's time to make a difficult decision about him. So that's catcher dealt with. First to base is a good question. I mean, I know Carrick is the likely answer, but I'd like to get somebody who doesn't have another way to get at bats right now. Let's make Brito the backup first baseman. That's fine. Backing up in the infield is going to be Carrick, McMahon. Oh no, actually McMahon goes there. Carrick is going to be the main backup at all the positions. And if the starter's really tired, then you can take over. Outfield backups is probably going to be Dubovik and left and right. It could also be Carrick. I want Carrick to focus primarily on being a backup in the infield, though, because nobody else can do that right now. And then Brito. Who backs up in center? I think it has to be Carrick. Yeah. All right. Other pinch hitters of note. Who else has a live bat that doesn't have regular playing time? I feel like letting Brito be a backup is pretty stupid. I think Dubovic is slightly better. I guess we could use Ryan McMahon as a pinch hitter. I guess that's reasonable. That's a choice we can make. Um, Burrito can get some pinch hitting, I suppose. I keep wanting to call him like Burrito. That's not his name. He's not a burrito. And then Dubovic can be a pinch runner. And I guess he can also get some pinch hitting experience too if he wants it. I only had one hitter that had a real obvious platoon split. I think we just copy this over. I think that's fine. I don't think we need to mess with anything. I mean, we can rejuggle the lineup a bit if you want, because Colin Ritchie isn't as good against left-handed pitching, so we could just, like, move up Romo, I guess. Maybe even Dahlis, too, potentially. That's reasonable. That's acceptable. Yeah. So for this season, at least, Morales is our everyday third baseman. I think it's probably fine. I'm not saying he should be our third baseman forever, but he's certainly better than Ryan McMahon, who I think is properly relegated to a backup role at this late stage in his career. Um, Super duper nice guy, but he is not going to be a Rocky next season unless he takes a substantial pay cut. We're talking like $2 million or less. Even then, it's probably no. Um, yeah. Let's get the minors set up. All right. Jesus Rodriguez, I'm gonna send you down to Double A to get our opening roster here. Do I have at least two catchers? I do have two catchers, so then the rest of this is fine. You'll figure it out. All right. Who goes from A ball to Double A? Jordan, Kilby. Probably Hoffman. Ty had struggled in A ball. I think letting him repeat high A at least at the start of the season is probably reasonable. We can call up Hunter. Let me look at regular A ball too. Eric Riddick is 21. He can be called up. I want Ryan Moore to try high A. He's repeated A ball and not really shown very well either season, but maybe high A would give us more information. Same thing for Bobby Rivera. Let's move him up. Ryan Costello can go up to A ball, high A. Archuleta is good enough. I'm gonna send him up to Double A. I think he can handle that jump. Ben Bear can go up to Double A, I guess. The rest of you guys can stay where you are until I have to move you. You only have one catcher. Oh, you do have two catchers. I mean, Daniel Jackson's kind of shit. Let's call up Stephen Kent Brockman, Gregory Sanchez, and Mitch Floyd. Then as far as guys in the low minors to go up to A ball, Aaron McCollum has never pitched professionally. I think it's fine. We're going to run into with a lot of these guys. They've just never pitched before. You played in the draft league, but that was it. Okay. All right, you get promoted to A ball. You're 22 and still haven't played. I mean, okay, Matthew Priest definitely gets called up. Matthew Priest is gonna go up to high A. He's got nothing he can possibly learn in the lower regions of the minors. Daniel Olson has now played 2 years in the Dominican League. I think he can be promoted to A-ball. I think that's fine. That's okay. All right. A-ball's going to be a little bit short-staffed, but don't worry about that. Wow, he tore his ligament again. Jesus, bro. Hmm. Oh, wait a minute. We might actually change another thing on the roster. I just now realized that Oscar Vasquez is only out for 4 more days. And the season doesn't even start by then. So I think we probably need to make more room in the rotation. What was it you'd like him to do? You want me to play around a 500 ball? Okay. Sure. Alright, Oscar Vasquez is ready to come back. Um... My guy's got a major league contract. I want to see what he can do. Maybe it's Ryan Feltner that needs to go. Like, this is a lot of money to swallow. Like, it's a lot of money to swallow. But he's also very clearly aged in a not so good direction. I guess I could just send on Oscar Pujols, who doesn't have any major league experience. Well, maybe this is his time to be in the majors. I don't know. It's tricky, you guys. It's real tricky. Unironically, Dylan Dubovic creates an interesting question because of the fact he is both an outfielder and a pitcher. I was gone. You very clearly are the player that we don't need. You very clearly don't have a role on the team anymore, but I can't afford to just eat that much money. I can opt out of Feltner's contract next year if I want, but there's always a chance he won't start anyway. This is really difficult. Because I want Oscar Vasquez and I want Oscar Vasquez to start. So if Oscar Vasquez is starting, who's relieving? You know what we're going to do? I'm going to punt on the decision. I'm going to let him rehab in the minors. That's reasonable. That's a reasonable take. And then we're going to sim up to our first game, and then we'll end the episode. Oh, we got Dahigo back. That doesn't suck, actually. Actually factual. That makes me pretty happy. Jack O'Connor, thank you for your service to the Colorado Rockies, but Dahigo's getting your job. That's really interesting because I think Dahigo does have a future where he is an important piece to this team playing at third base. So I'm pretty chuffed about that. Calvin Hidalgo, I think, is also bound for the minor leagues. Vic Domingo, I remember how excited I was when I traded for you. I mean, all that was for Sean Bouchard, but literally none of these guys will ever see the major leagues, so I'm wondering if this entire team was just like... This was not the most consequential deal, was it? It was not. Vic, thank you for your service. No, go away. Alright. Can you quit changing who my scout is, please? That's rude as heck. Oh, our rotation is immeasurably better. Just by a Manuel Pineda, even if he doesn't have like the toppest of top skill forever, he's still a really good pitcher. Um, the best one we've had in a long time. So I know he was expensive, but sometimes you have to overpay. Sometimes overpaying is your only choice. So to that end, I'm reasonably happy about having Pineda on the club. Um, a lot of the old rotation returns, including some guys that actually had some pretty positive seasons, like Justin Jarvis, like Min Jun Shin, almost got it, Lucas Gordillo, and Sandy Ozuna. So we have some decent pitchers here to help us out. The bullpen is interesting. The bullpen is full of guys with a ton of potential that haven't done a whole lot yet. Angel Chivilli is decent. I don't really know what to tell you as far as like which relievers are going to be big stars. I do that Issei just keeps overproducing his ratings. At some point, this will bite us in the butt, but so far it hasn't. I wish he didn't walk so many hitters, but he strikes so many people out that it doesn't matter as much. As long as he keeps doing that, we'll be in good shape. Lineup-wise, this is somewhat similar to last year's with a couple of newbies. We're giving Rod another chance in the outfield. We're going to give him one last chance to show that he can be the leadoff hitter we need him to be. A version of Nelson Rada that has last year's base running plus this past year's base running plus the hitting of a couple years ago is a good fit for this club. He does a lot of little things that we need, and he's somebody that might get a longer term contract. The rookie of the year is going to be trusted to hit second. I think that's a good spot for him. He's still a very good on base guy, but he's also got lots of speed and defense, and he's got enough power that he might drive some people in given the opportunity. So that's something I'm interested in seeing if he can replicate last year's success. Because his success is coming from the fact he's good at lots of things, I'm hopeful that he'll be a little bit more immune to the sophomore slump than other players. Tovar, Condon, our old friends. Tovar is somebody we might end up trading at some point, but the problem is I don't really have another obvious shortstop on this team. That's something we're going to have to think about going forward. It's equally possible we just execute the option and then try to get him to another contract. Condon is being paid a lot of money. If Condon actually plays well, this contract is a steal. And the last 2 seasons have convinced me that he is capable of being the kind of player that this team needs. So hopefully he doesn't betray our trust. Colin Ritchie is going to be really interesting. This is a guy that we traded for a couple seasons ago because of his bat primarily. He's got a lot of power. If we can get him to reach his potential too, the heart of our order becomes terrifying for opposing teams. It's not a flawless player. I think it's going to struggle with left-handed pitching, but that's something we'll have to come to grips with anyway. Hopefully getting Drew Romo back to his former self would be pretty exciting. That'd make me pretty happy. I just want really good defense and about league average offense. That's what I expect from you. If you do those two things, we're cooking. Wielder Dalis is your new second baseman. He just has to be better than Amador, which frankly isn't that challenging. He's also gives us some more leadership, which is pretty tasty. Emil Morales, based on his audition last year, I'm going to give him a longer rope to see if he can play third base effectively. Third base is probably the most up for grabs position on this team. So something to consider. And then multi-time Gold Glover Brenton Doyle returns and is going to be batting ninth. His offensive skill set is so interesting that there's so many different outcomes that I think ninth is the best place to start him, at least for now. Really good year last year running the bases, by the way. I'd like to see him work on that particular skill. But he is primarily a speed-based hitter. What do I mean by that? Speed is where a lot of his offense comes from. He does have a little bit of power. He's got a little bit of batting average, but speed is what he does really well. Why I say this is if he starts slowing down, his value will collapse. And it could be quite ugly quite quickly. But I think it's a reasonable enough contract that it's not going to hurt us that much. I don't think. Talking about backups, Dylan Dubovic has a chance to be really helpful to this club. As a high-quality outfield backup and a good arm out of the bullpen. Making him a two-way player just gives us so much more flexibility to use for other spots, so pretty excited about that. His arm strength isn't the best, his velocity isn't anything special, but that doesn't mean he can't be an effective pitcher all the same. Eternal utility man, Cole Carrig, is really solid. He's dependable. As long as he's not starting this many games as he did in 2027, I think we're an okay club. Bryant Milam is eventually going to force a very interesting decision on me. That day isn't here yet, but he's probably too good a player to be a backup forever. We're going to have to figure out what to do with him. He wouldn't be the worst outfielder. He wouldn't be great, but he wouldn't be the worst. We could make him our DH, but we've got lots of options to do with him. Brito's our project for this year. If he does develop, if he can handle the vagaries of challenges of the major leagues, at least for one season, I think he's got a very bright future. If he can't, then we return him to the Reds and nothing has been lost. And then Ryan McMahon is here too. I so wish I could get rid of him. Not because I hate Ryan McMahon, not because he hasn't been one of the best Rockies of recent years. He's just not that great. And he's basically forcing us to carry him, even though he doesn't have a clear role on this team. I would love another infielder. Like, maybe a guy like, that's how Kelvin Hidalgo makes the roster, is if he's not on it. Maybe this is how a guy like Grady Emerson gets his chance, is he fills that role. Grady Emerson is a possible future shortstop for us. I know he didn't have a great year in AAA, but he's also still pretty young. And I think he will reach a point where he's going to get some looks. Especially if something happens to Tovar. I think he's the next man up. Santiago Leon offers us another really good infield, also happens to be a captain, adding even more to our leadership value. So we have some good players in the minor leagues. I think Will Levy is the one to watch. Of all the players in the minor leagues, if Will Levy has a couple of good months, I could see him rapidly hitting the major leagues. We need desperately a homegrown ace. Even with Pineda, even with having a really good starter finally for the first time in forever, we need Levy to be great. Not just good, but great. Ton of pressure on him, but I think he can do it. Acevedo is somebody else we're going to monitor very closely. If he has another outstanding season, he could force me to promote him to AA. That could happen. Either way, my friends, this has been Avguardian. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.